Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Nigeria's economy has posted its fastest growth in 4 years. I'm talking 4.23% year-on-year in the second quarter of 2025, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS. Now, while the government hails the figure as evidence that reforms are working, labor unions and critics disagree. They say this growth doesn't reflect the lived realities of Nigerians facing rising costs, weak infrastructure, and persistent joblessness. So tonight we dive into whether that 4.23% is real growth, smoke and mirrors, or, somewhere in between, and what it means for, 2027, for the everyday Nigerian, and most importantly, for economic credibility in this country. My name is Chioma Kalu, and I am your host tonight. Remember, Ways is all about you, as you are the why in Ways, so be a part of the conversation every single day and add your voice to the discussions. Head on now to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV, hit the subscribe button, like, share, and invite your friends and family to join the show now. When I open the phone lines, I would really love to hear your insights on this particular topic. And as we do always on the show, this is a quote for you to ponder on today. It says, "True prosperity is measured by well-being, not just numbers." And this was said by IMF's Kristalina Georgieva. Now, we're going to go into this much later, but we're quickly going to go on a very short break. And when I come back, I'll take you through my news interest for the day. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Ways Primetime. So right now, I'm going to take you through the news stories that caught my attention this morning, the whole of it today anyways. So the first one says, First Lady raises 20.4 billion naira for National Library projects. Interesting. Now the story says, First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has raised not less than 20.4 billion for the ongoing National Library project. Her target is to rake in 100 billion from donors by December. Now Senator Oluremi, who announced the development yesterday at Aso Rock Villa, initiated the idea to mark her 65th birthday. She turned 65 on Sunday, while some days to her birthday, she urged Nigerians, she made a whole she had a press conference, sort of, urging Nigerians desirous of sending her gifts, cakes, newspaper advertorials and others, to convert them to donations into an account she opened to raise funds for the completion of the abandoned National Library project. She reaffirmed yesterday that the accounts whose signatories are the Minister of Education and the National Librarian will be closed by the end of December and the cash raised transferred for the project. The National Library project was initiated in 1981 by the Second Republic President Shehu Shagari It has since, been stalled. Explaining her motivation to raise funds for the project, the First Lady said, "My role is only to help drive support for this cause. This is a national project, and I believe Nigerians can come together to make it happen." When I saw this story, I'm like, okay, I mean, it's a good cause, okay? Having a library, readers are leaders. You guys know how we say all of these things, but I think we have libraries in Nigeria. Oh God, I sound like I don't like to read, but I actually do like to read. But right now, there are things we can actually raise that fund for. You could say, okay, people can do whatever they like with their money, and they wanted to celebrate the wife of the president, and she said, oh, if you want to celebrate me, this is a way to celebrate me. And so far, I mean, I can remember when she made that she had that press conference calling on Nigerians to donate to that cause. It's not been a long time, and we already have 20 billion. So we can actually raise money in this little, time frame. And a lot of things are going wrong in Nigeria. Well, whatever happens, I hope we can account for this money when the time comes. I hope the purpose for these funds that are being, are being raised is not defeated. I hope we don't channel this. I hope there's no looting, lurking somewhere. I hope a lot of things don't go wrong with this money we're contributing, because it would not be funny. It really wouldn't be. Anyway, kudos to the First Lady. I would say it's a good cause. It is a good cause. Nigerians, she said she trusts you people to come together to make it happen. So yes, 100 billion is possible, right? Anyway, I'm moving to my second story of interest. Maybe the story that I love the most in this lineup. And it says, I will not apologize. Natasha insists, as she returns to the National Assembly office. Now, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has insisted that she would not be apologizing to her colleagues in the Senate if that was the condition for letting her into the premises. Natasha arrived at the National Assembly complex following an earlier decision by the Senate to unseal her office. Speaking with journalists after settling down in her office, Akpoti-Uduaghan vowed not to apologize to the Senate for the reasons she was suspended, insisting that her suspension remained illegal. Now, Natasha said, so I am actually worried as to what apology they expect from me. You can't apologize for an injustice. And may I remind the good people of Nigeria that the document that led to my illegal suspension, which is the recommendation which Senator Neda Imasuen read, was actually written by the Office of the Senate President. Now, if you remember, this is the same Senate President that she alleged sexual harassment, whatever. And then the signatories, she said, that endorsed the recommendations were not willful signatures. It was only a tender sheet that was attached. She said that means the entire document that read and pronounced my suspension was listed with fraud. So this is just one illegality upon the other. And I think in Nigeria, we should reject such things. I think it's actually appalling that such an amount of illegality exists and that fraud can occur even in the National Assembly. So if they are expecting me to apologize, I'm sorry, I don't have those words. And if that is the condition for opening this office, then I think we have a long dance to make. Okay, these are the words of Senator Natasha. Senator Natasha was suspended in March, yeah, for 6 months. And even upon the expiration of the 6 months, the Senate refused her resuming on some claims they made, And now she's expected to apologize to the House. And she said, I'm not doing that. I really am not doing that. Because, I think I joined her in asking, what is she apologizing for? First of all, why wouldn't you let her come back to office after 6 months? It took Nigerians going to the streets, going in front of the National Assembly. Oh, I'm so impressed. When I saw those pictures, I love Nigerians. I feel like a great number of us are ready to take back our country, right? Because some level of injustice should not, in fact, all levels of injustice should not be allowed in this country. So I even saw someone that went with a bed to actually sleep in front of the National Assembly until she had her office unsealed. And eventually it happened. They did a whole ceremony of, this person hereby unsealed. Funny story. But yeah, the Kogi senator is back, and we are happy she's back. And I must commend her, because not for once did she deter, or shy away from her responsibilities as the senator representing Kogi Central, even during the suspension. So I really applaud her. Then finally, flood takes over houses and roads in Lekki, Lagos. I don't know if you were in Lagos. Anyway, let's take the story. It says heavy rainfall has left several parts of Lagos submerged. If you're looking at our screen, you will see the level of damage this rain caused yesterday. You see major roads, residential areas, particularly those along the island axis. The downfall, which lasted several hours, disrupted traffic, damaged properties, and forced many commuters to abandon vehicles and trek long distances. Areas was hit by the flood include Mile 2, Lekki Phase 1, Lekki Expressway, 3rd Mainland Bridge, Ago Palace Way, Ayobo Ibaja, Songotedo, many strategic places in Lagos, right? And residents and eyewitnesses attributed the situation to blocked drainages and water channels, which worsened the flood and slowed water evacuation. Now, the flooding also triggered heavy gridlock across major roads, with commercial drivers struggling to navigate submerged routes and some abandoning trips altogether. Traffic officials were deployed to critical areas to ease movements, while authorities urged residents to desist from dumping refuse in drainage channels, warning that environmental laws would be strictly enforced to curb future incidents. You guys, yesterday was a movie. It was not... I think it was... I should say it was better experience than even imagined. It was crazy. For one, I experienced it. I was leaving the office and, oh my goodness, you needed to see cars were stuck in the flood. People were abandoning their cars. Even you as maybe, you see pedestrians even falling into ditches. Some cars didn't know where there was a ditch or not. I saw several cars falling into ditches, and oh, it was really sad. I'm imagining the damages these cars have by now. I'm imagining, somebody said this is mechanic season, and it's very funny. But as funny as it is true. Because a lot of these cars would develop some faults, one or many faults. Because imagine your car, I was passing an area, and I saw this man park his car after swimming a particular area. And then when he parked to where he had a bit of dryness, he used the plates to be scooping. He was scooping water from his car with plates. And, oh, my goodness, it was such an eyesore. So, I don't know, but we have, it's sad that we have really poor urban planning, especially in Lagos, because we're not supposed to be talking about this. All we do is just build. We have beautiful edifices in Lagos. But when times like this come, you realize that these things don't matter. And I think it was the Commissioner for Environment, Lagos, Wahab, that said one day, telling people that live in Lekki, Ikorodu, they should relocate due to the flood. When you're telling them to relocate, sir, where are they going to? Did you make provisions for this relocating? We don't, like I say, we can't just come on national TV and just say something just because our office demands that we say something. Right? You should have put things in place, measures in place to help these people you're giving the counsel to relocate, because you don't just relocate based on word of mouth. And now let me move to Lagosians. Lagosians have a habit of trashing their refuse in the gutters, in the drainage systems. And you expect flood not to displace you. You don't want to be internally displaced, yet the measures you're supposed to take to make sure that you're not a victim, you don't take them. I think earlier in the year, one time when the flood was this much, we saw somebody posted, I think, was it on X? He made a video of a couple. They came out in that rain with their big refuse bin. And they were pouring it into the floor. Oh, my goodness. They were pouring it into the water. It was so crazy. And I'm wondering, why? Is it that we don't learn? Because every other year, we have reports of where flooding would occur. The government don't seem to be doing anything about that. And then you that is supposed to help yourself, you're expecting the government to baby you, to spoon feed you. You don't know to take care of yourself. Anyway, I hope no lives were lost in this flood, because yesterday was not a joke. Yesterday people were stuck at their workplaces. People were getting home past midnight. People that left the office, as early as maybe 3, 4, 5. They're getting home by past midnight. It's not funny. I think we should do something about this. And I'm speaking to the government now. Something has to be done. Something has to be done, really. Anyway, guys, that's all I have. That's all the news that caught my eye today. We're going to go on a short break. And when we come back, we'll dive right into the topic for tonight. Stay with us.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
5 Nigerian foods with more fiber than beans. In Nigeria, beans are widely celebrated as one of the healthiest staple foods that is rich in fiber, protein, and essential minerals. But what if we told you there are Nigerian foods that actually pack more fiber than beans? While beans remain an excellent source of nutrients, several local foods contain higher fiber content and offer unique health benefits you may be missing out on. For people that don't like beans, that's not the only option on the table. There are plenty of high-fiber Nigerian foods that can do even more for your digestive health, weight management, and heart wellness. Here are 5 Nigerian foods with more fiber than beans. Tiger nuts. Tiger nuts are small, crunchy tubers loaded with fiber. In fact, 30 grams of tiger nuts can contain up to 10 grams of fiber, more than beans provide in the same quantity. They are excellent for digestion, help control blood sugar, and double as a healthy snack. Ofada rice. Unlike polished white rice, ofada rice keeps its fiber-rich band layer intact. A cup of ofada rice provides about 7 grams of fiber compared to 5 grams in beans. It's also a slow digesting carbohydrate, making it ideal for people managing diabetes even with its unique smell. Garden egg. Garden eggs are not just low in calories, they are fiber powerhouses. Eating them raw or in stews provide more soluble fiber than beans, which helps with cholesterol control and weight management. Yam. Yam is a staple in Nigerian households and it provides up to 8 grams of fiber per serving. Roasted, boiled, or yam porridge is an easy way to increase daily fiber intake. Vegetables. Traditional Nigerian vegetables like pumpkin leaves and scent leaves are denser in fiber than beans per calorie. A plate of vegetable-rich soup can do wonders for digestion and overall health.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
All right, thank you so much for staying tuned. And if you're just joining us, tonight's conversation, we're talking about economic growth versus reality. And we're asking if Nigeria's 4.23% GDP is just numbers, right, on paper. So I'd like to hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation by sending an SMS or WhatsApp to 0818-038-4663. The phone lines are now open. Please call on 07025 7749. And also you can call us on 0701 4242420. Let's hear what you have to say. Now, you see, the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, have said that Nigeria's economy grew by 4.23% in the second quarter of 2025. Now, that's the fastest we've had in 4 years. Officials call it a sign that reforms are beginning to pay off. But away from the numbers, right, a different story have, emerged. We're asking, this particular rise, is it reflective? You see, the World Bank estimates that nearly 39% of Nigerians still live in poverty. And in rural areas, that figure rises to over 75%. Food prices remain high, wages are stagnant, and unemployment statistics are widely disputed. For many citizens, this so-called growth is hard to see, let alone feel. So tonight we're asking, is Nigeria's growth real progress or just numbers on paper? Joining me tonight to unpack this development is Mokhtar Mohammed, the CEO of Finance with Mokhtar. And he'll be helping us, unpack all of these things and help us understand it further. Mr. Mokhtar, good evening and thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Sorry for joining late. It has to do with a network issue.
That's okay. We're glad you're here anyways. And so given this new development, right, the government says that this new GDP, 4.23%, is showing us that the reforms that Tinubu's administration is bringing is eventually is paying off, right? Well, tell us how you feel about this. What do you think?
In terms of depending on where you are, in the equity market, you can say that Tinubu reform has paid you. If you are a trader and your trading is FX dependent, then you will say that Tinubu administration has not paid you. And again, if you are an ordinary Nigeria, the cost of goods and services have gone up. So definitely it will not. So when we talk about GDP, sometimes people mistake GDP to mean that you are rich or the economy is back to normal. GDP, first of all, activity of that economy. If you look at that GDP closely, you realize that we have productivity there. And what we have seen is that the oil and gas sector is not more productive. And also you can see the non-oil sector being more productive. And this GDP growth that we are seeing is as a result of the rebasing. So we've had new areas in the economy that was not there before. These are what have contributed to the GDP growth. It's a rebasing type of GDP growth. There was nothing like mining. There was nothing like the fintech added to it. There's nothing like illegal refinery, modular refinery, Dangote refinery. Oil production has gone by 1.6 million barrels compared to the last time. So all this sum of what the GDP is all about. The GDP is all about the productive nature of the Nigeria economy, or you say the productive sector of the Nigeria economy. That does not add to bringing money in the pocket of the ordinary Nigeria. What that do is that there are prospects that very soon you'll begin to see that evolving into the real economy, which I call the real GDP.
Okay. So, like you rightly stated, right, the non-oil sector reportedly expanded by like 3.64%, It made up over 95% of that GDP. So what does this growth really tell us about sustainable expansion beyond oil?
You see, when you look at that non-oil sector, it's very impressive, like you have found out.
Yeah.
But again, when you look at value in terms of effects that is driven into the economy, real sector is better than the non-oil sector. So what he's saying is that in terms of output that we export, the oil sector still leads in value. The non-oil sector have not been able to match up in terms of value. When I'm talking value, I'm talking about effects that with the economy as a result from the oil sector and the non-oil sector. Now, yes, is that the good news? Definitely is good news. That means we have multiple stream of income. So before now, when you have this external shock, that it has a way also of affecting our economy. So now with this growth in the non-oil sector, this will also help in driving our economy. If there's any external shock that has to do with oil price. And as you know already, we are suffering from that shock because we are not even meeting our oil benchmark of about $70. Oil is about $66 up to this point. So you can say, yes, it's good in the long run, but as it stands now, there's still a lot of work to be done in the non-oil sector. Because when you look at agriculture, we are still security. If you look at agriculture, we are still battling the value chain end of agriculture, which have to do with storage of large agricultural products so that they can be exported out of this country. There's still bureaucracy in exporting our products out of this country through the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. There's still a lot, but in terms of the crude oil or refined petroleum product, you realize that that is seamless to export out of this country.
That's quite a breakdown. So now I want to ask, what structural reforms must accompany the GDP growth, to ensure it improves people's lives? Areas like agriculture, manufacturing, infrastructure, human capital. What reforms do you think we can put in place to ensure this improvement of people's lives?
Well, I think what we need to put in there is the physical side.
Okay.
What we have seen in terms of growth that everybody is celebrating, if you look critically, you realize this is like the monetary policy, how they have been able to inflation, how they've been able to bring it into it, how they are now bringing down the interest rates by the cutting of rates. So all these are monetary policy too. Now the physical side, they need to do some other things. Remember, before we were talking about the 4% that have been suspended because that was the physical side. So looking at the physical side, security is still high. So we are still not going to farm. So they will need in the area of security so that we can have farmers go to farm. We also have to build infrastructure so that we can see movement of goods and services, so that this non-agricultural sector, when their products are taken out of this country, the cost of production will not make it expensive for people to want to buy it. Then again, you also look at the area of power. This is all about cost of production. Presently, power is still high. So when you produce, then you have to sell at a higher cost. And if you take it outside the shore of this country, competing with others that are done at a lower cost. Those are some of the challenges that the non-oil sector is facing. Compared to the oil sector, whereby you just export straight, and then you have people that are ready, available to take it up. So that is the challenge, and that's what government need to do. Government need to see that they can improve in a lot of areas so that the policy will then help businesses to grow, especially the non-oil sector business.
Okay, so, but, aside the GDP, what indicators now should we be tracking to measure whether Nigerians are genuinely better off, apart from the GDP now?
You and I know what we should be checking. We should see more Nigerians coming to say, now we have more jobs, we have jobs.
Right.
We need to begin to see the situation, but we don't have the very rich and the very poor. We should have that middle class, which normally are the drivers of the economy.
Do we still have middle class in Nigeria?
That is what I'm saying. We don't have them.
Question.
We don't have. That's why I said what we have now is the very rich and the very poor.
Exactly.
We
Yeah.
don't have the middle class. So for us to begin to say our economy has grown, we need to see people move from the very poor to the middle class.
Yeah.
So that in the middle class they are the key drivers of the economy because they are the consuming class. So once you don't have that middle class to consume, definitely your economy is struggling. So that's why we will keep struggling. The middle class over and no more in this country. They have all japa. So we have not been able to create this another middle class because of the current economic challenges that we are having. So definitely, I totally agree with you. So when we begin to see the middle class, then we'll begin to say our economy is taking shape. Like I said sometime in one of the programs I was featuring on, I said before you begin to say effects are stabilized, it's when we can use our naira to buy goods and services when you're outside the shore of this country.
Right.
And that's what is happening now. So definitely you now begin to see, that's why you are seeing the stability in the naira. So for us to begin to see this impact of the of GDP and others are now impacting the life of Nigerians, we need to see the middle class. We need to see Nigeria begin to earn more. We need to see Nigeria begin to consume more. And also we need to see the price of goods come down, especially food. So as it stands now, the cost of food is still high. So when we begin to see that, we can now say the economy is on the path of recovery.
Okay, so now from what you're saying, right? Because I was going to ask you if this growth figure makes Nigeria, look attractive now. But from what you're saying, are you saying that we still have more structural risk compared, still being overshadowed? How do I put it? We still have more structured risk over opportunities. We don't have more opportunities. We still have risk as a nation.
Definitely, we still have risks. If you look at our current economic policy and what we are enjoying, you agree with me that we still have risks. The risks has to do with when you look at the inflation, when you look at our exchange rate, it's coming down, but it's still high. Then when you look at our level of production for consumption, you are still importing more into the country to meet up our consumption. So these are fragile stability that we are enjoying. If you look at the inflation that they are celebrating now was largely impacted by the rebasing of the economy. The same thing that we are celebrating in the GDP. Any rebasing that will not create job and bring a new player into the economy is only a mirage.
Yeah.
So after some time, the economy like you say, water will always find its level. So it definitely after some time, until the rebasing begin to attract new player in those sectors that have been opened up, and then we begin to create job, then you begin to make sense in the area of the GDP and also the inflationary pressure. Because if you look at reality on ground, if the term inflation today is about 20.something%, when you look at that, in reality to the cost of goods and services, you've not seen that reduction because we're seeing an inflation that was almost 33%. Because of the rebasing, we saw it came down to 23%. But the goods and services basically come down by almost 10%. You and I know that didn't happen. So, but that has happened. So until we get these new players and we begin to see the economy begin to expand in the area of employment and also what we talked about, getting that middle class. So it's still structurally a challenge.
Okay, we're going to go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Please stay with us. All right, welcome back. We're still talking about the new figure, the growth of the Nigerian GDP to 4.23. And I have Mokhtar Mohammed still with me. Sir, good, thank you for still staying tuned. Are you still there? Mr. Mokhtar? I think we lost him. Mr. Mokhtar, are you still with us? Anyway, just before he joins us, we've been talking about how these growths, as much as the government keeps telling us, oh, that this is a step in the right direction, it shows that this administration, is still, the reforms that they've been pushing that we think is not working is beginning to pay off. But, sometimes you don't really know, like we saw the IMF a lady say earlier in our quote, she said, this growth is really not in the numbers. We can't just be looking at, I know a lot of people are like, oh, numbers don't lie. Yeah, but then also the well-being of the people don't lie. You have to get your review from the people you're leading. All right, and so it's just basic. A lot of now, like we saw earlier in the news, the labor unions are beginning to, argue and say, oh no, these things you can't tell us that there's an improvement. You can't tell us that these reforms are working when Nigerians are not feeling this growth. Nigerians are not experiencing. In fact, we're not even seeing it, let alone feeling it. Right? There is high inflation there, and then the wages are low. Like I would always say on this show, everything is going up in this country apart from the pay of people, right? So it doesn't, I don't know. We need a balance to it, and also Nigerians also have to understand that sometimes these things take time, all right? I don't know if I have Mr. Mokhtar back. Oh, yeah, thank you. Oh, I can see you now. Great. I think you're muted. I can't hear you.
No, I can hear you. I'm not muted.
Oh, beautiful. Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you for still being here. So the next thing I was going to ask you, repeated disparities between official statistics and citizens' experience, it weakens trust in these institutions. So how can the government and, independent bodies, how can they build credibility around this economic data?
I think that's a very big challenge as a country in terms of economic data. It's a very, very big challenge for us because, again, like I said, if you look at reality on ground and what we have, really, you tend to wonder where they get those figures from. But you and I know the challenge when it comes to data in Nigeria. So that data is still a challenge. But in every economy, sometimes when you see those economic things, they are always not in reality to what sometimes some people experience. But the gap is not as wide as what we are experiencing in Nigeria. I think that, for me, is the major challenge. But again, like you said in your introduction, I heard you saying it, that it will take time because we are not here overnight. We cannot get over here within the shortest possible time. So, but by and large, we are here, and we are enjoying some little stability here and there. I heard you saying that in Nigeria, costs of goods are just been going up and has not come down. But now we are not seeing that hyperinflation that we used to see. I think like 6 months ago or thereabout, when you go to the market today, if you go in the morning, by the time you go in the afternoon, that same good you bought for 30 naira, 30 naira will be selling for 60 naira. But now I think we have seen a little bit stability in that space. Also, things goes up and go down in Nigeria for the first time. When this administration came to power, cost of refined petroleum product, when they came in, was about 1,200 in some places. But we are averaging 900 naira now all over Nigeria. So you can also say that we have seen cost of goods goes up and then cost of goods come down. But in reality, to touch the life of the average Nigerian, I think we are still a far cry from where we should be. But I also need to add to it that when there is reform, when you're having reform automatically takes shape sector by sector. First of all, let me give an example of this reform. When it came in, you saw that it attracted investors, especially in the equity market. You saw that reform boost investors' confidence, saw the price of goods goes up. Then you saw the manufacturing sector suffering. But now when you look at the manufacturing sector, bear in mind the result that they have presented, you will realize that that sector is not suffering like it suffered immediately when President Tinubu comes to power. So once there is a reform, first of all, investors will benefit from it. business will benefit from it through those reforms to attract more business players. Then, before you begin to see the impact on the life of the people in the area of job creation, wealth creation, you begin to see those business expand into various opening up branches, expansion. So by doing that, then they are creating jobs for more Nigerians. Then you begin to see the impact of the reform. So definitely, reforms do not happen overnight. You do not see success of reform overnight, but over time, reforms to get our results, especially when it's followed to the latter with all sincerity and with sincerity too.
So how would the government, how would they ensure that this growth is inclusive and also durable? Durable is where I'm driving at, right? So we don't fall back to where we were. What policies, what monetary policies, fiscal policies should they put in place to ensure that this thing is both inclusive and durable?
You agree with me that monetary policy, we saw one big monetary policy yesterday when the MPC met, rate has been cut. So what it means by rate cut is that the cost of borrowing has come down, the cost of funding has come down. That's what we've been agitating for a while. So we begin to see that impact on smaller businesses and also large businesses. So that's what monetary policy have done. They've brought down rates. Now the physical side, like I said before, are the ones that have a lot to do. They have a lot to do. Cost of goods is still high because of the tariff. So are we going to see tariff reduction? Those are what they should deal with rather than increasing tariff by 4% or whatever you call it. I think tariff reduction will help drive price of goods and services down. We need to see infrastructural improvement. We need to see cut in levies, not taxes, because what we see is that a lot of businesses, especially the small businesses, they pay levies and they pay taxes. And at the end of the day, a lot of them are paying more levy than taxes. And these levies are large in number. Some businesses pay up to like 6, 7, or 10 levies. Even despite the tax reform bill that is currently on the table of Mr. President, or where Mr. President has signed into law and will start implementation in January, it's easier for government in the local government and in the state government to collect levies rather than taxes. So that is a major challenge that is impacting negatively on businesses. So government need to work on that. I talked about cost of production. Energy cost is still very, very high. If you look at them, businesses are crumbling because, again, some of them may ban A. Even if they ban A, like they will always say, the ban A is not banding, and they are paying high costs, and they're also using diesel to power their plant. So all these are policies, and again, like I said again, insecurity. There needs to be an improvement in the area of security, so that farmers can go to farm, Nigerians can travel freely, either by rail, either by road, because again, road and rail transport still remain the cheapest means of transportation. But the situation whereby people cannot travel by those means and they have to travel by air, then they will put those costs back into the hands of the consumers, and that also will impact the price of goods and services. So I think the physical side need to do a lot, but the monetary side, like I said before, some of the results that we are enjoying now was due to what the monetary side have done thus far.
Looking ahead to 2027, right? How important is it for this administration to be able to close this gap? You know, the gap between this growth that they are praising and the lived reality of Nigerians. How can we do that? And how fast can we do that?
You and I know, I mean, you're a journalist, you know that there will not be governance in 2026.
Right. Very true.
I mean,
sadly true, if I dare say.
2026. So all that we need to achieve it between now and December, because by next year, by February, you start having presidential primaries, electoral campaign take the center stage, governance take the backstage. So between now and the end of the year or before the primaries, what I just mentioned in terms of physical side coming up with policy are what should be impacting on Nigeria. That is what will determine whether Nigeria will want to return them back to power, even if a lot of people will say, well, it doesn't matter. But I think our vote should count if we do the right thing. But I am sitting here saying that, like what I mentioned is what they should do to bring reality. There must be jobs for Nigeria. That is very important because Nigeria needs to start having jobs. They need to begin to be able to take care of themselves. Our Nigeria should be able to feed themselves also. So cost of food should come down. Those are the reality. Especially, you need the basic necessity that Nigeria needs: housing, food, and clothing. And if you look at these three things now, it's majorly a challenge, especially if you are staying in Lagos. You see the cost of housing have gone up, yes, and yet your take home has not gone up. So those are part of the reality. Will government be building more houses to get more Nigerians to own houses and pay at a very cheaper rate? We will see the National Mortgage Bank working better. So all these are physical policy that should drive growth. Like I said, the monetary side have done their best. So for us to see those reality, for us from now to 2027, if at all there's governance in 2026, I think the current administration need to do a lot.
So if I get you, sir, you're saying we just have 3 months to fix Nigeria.
Well,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying, because definitely that's what it is. Because after this, I mean, when we get next year, 2026,
yeah,
I mean, it has started in 2025. This is the first time. No, ordinarily, before we begin to see electoral issues from, it's normally 2026. But for the first time in the history of this country, we are seeing electoral campaigns start in NX. And that tells you who is in power is a politician. So the politics are taking center stage. So that's why I'm saying that what we are achieving now is largely driven by monetary policy, not by physical side. So because as we stand now, the physical side are more concerned about the next election than what is happening.
Anyway, thank you so much. That's all the time we have. I have been speaking with Mokhtar Mohammed, CEO of Finance with Mokhtar. Thank you so much for your insights and have a good evening. All right. So growth is more than numbers we have seen. It's more, than a percentage on the government chart. Real growth is when a farmer can afford fertilizer, when a market woman can sell at a fair price, when graduates find decent jobs, and when families can feed without fear of hunger. Now, at 4.23%, Nigeria may be growing on paper, but you see, the people are asking, when will that growth show in my life? As we look ahead, the challenge for leaders is not just to sustain economic figures, but to build an economy of dignity, opportunity, and trust. Because until Nigerians feel the benefits in their pockets, every statistics remains just that, a stat, Anyway, that's all we have today. Thank you so much for listening. Before I go, of course, you have to go subscribe on our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. You can drop your comment there. Follow us on all social media engagements. Remember to like, share, comment, invite your friends and family to watch us and follow us. And before we go, if you missed our quote for tonight, here it is. It says, true prosperity, is measured by well-being and not just numbers. My name is Chioma Kalu, and this has been Ways Prime Time. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.